Hi, my name is Natalia and I'm coming to you from Denmark, and this is my knitting podcast. Yes, I got a couple of new viewers, and for all my new viewers and my returning viewers, I want to shortly tell about myself again. So, as I tell again, my name is Natalia and I'm living in Denmark, but I'm originally from Ukraine, and I had lived there almost the biggest part of my life. So if you find my English weird, then I'm sorry, but yeah, English isn't my first language or even my main language, but it's one of the languages what I'm using on daily basis. But normally I have three languages in my everyday, so I use my native Ukrainian language, I use Danish language, and I use English language. So yes, if my English is weird, I'm really sorry. Maybe try to put to start under text. I do my best, but sometimes it's some words are blending for me with Danish language because I learned Danish as adult. So sometimes my brain confusing Danish and English and mixes together. Yeah. Or sometimes the way how I pronounce the words are strange, but I do my best. So yes, now we are going to knitting part, what we are all meet together for. So I will start with what I'm wearing, and it's sweater. It's definitely sweater weather here in Denmark. It's get colder and it's raining all day today. I had some problems with setup today because I pull up my light. I didn't use that through summer, and it was again complicated to set up all again, but I will get used to this. So what I'm wearing, this is pattern by Junko Okamoto, and it called the Twigs. It's a great pattern. I really like the sweater. I really like the yarn what I choose for this. I use noble yarn from Holst Garn. Yeah, the link will be down below. I will put the name of the project, of the pattern and designer name, and link to my Ravelry page. If you don't use Ravelry, you can just write me down below and I will write you which yarn I use. But I basically use light fingering way yarn. It's wool blend with cashmere. It's have like 95% wool and 5% cashmere, but it's really soft. This 5%, it's doing something great. It's peeling. I will don't tell that it's not peel, but I didn't took out the pills even once yet. I'm okay with how it's look, and I really like it sweater. Last year I wear that every time I could. I wear that sweater. So my main color is black, and then the sweater call for two contrasting color, and I just pick up two gray color, but like really light, and one darker. And again, really like this. I will try to insert some picture, but you can see full sweater. But yeah, great pattern. Have just one size, but can't recommend this more. Maybe in the future I will make one more like this, but in lighter color. Yes, I have a lot of finished objects today, so I will try to do this fast, and we will see how fast we can pull this. So yes, let's start talk about finished objects. So my first finished object is the colorwork sweater, what I was showing you for a long time, and last time I had just one sleeve to finish. I was working through one sleeve and all another sweater was done, and I pulled through and finished this. So it's again as this full color work sweater. It's have really interesting construction because it's not like yoke sweater, it's kind of like raglan sweater, but it's also different raglan because increasing, yeah, there it have like kind of like shoulder parts, and then it's going to decrease for sleeves. I don't know if that's what I'm trying to tell makes sense, but have really interesting construction. As again, I will try to put picture that you can better see this. I used 2 yarns from Smoked Sock yarn, this brown color and a pink color. Don't know how good you can see this. I see my light to this more colder colors. I think like that it's more to true. No, it's like brownish, like that. Like now it's right colors how it is. I like it. I tried. It sits right on me. It's soft, and I'm looking forward to wear this. I didn't wear this even once yet, but yes. So the pattern is called Waterfalls by Unwindknitwear, and I believe she will be releasing this soon because deadline for test knits was like a day ago. So yeah, I don't know when she will be publishing this, but I will link my project page and name of the pattern so you can follow her. I don't know, maybe on Instagram, on Ravelry, where it's best for you, and find the sweater when it will be released. The pattern have a lot of sizes, so I believe mostly all people can find their size there. I actually don't remember which size did I knit. Yeah, I will try to put this in my notes on Ravelry page. Yeah, really like the sweater, really happy that I finished this. It was lying around long time ago, even that was test knit. For some reason in one moment I feel like that was too much of color work and couldn't finish the last part of the body, but when I pulled that through, then the sleeves was just quite fast to go. And I really like to work sleeves on short circular needles. Yes, so I use 40 centimeters cable. I believe cable is shorter, but like with the needles I use short needles and a short cable, and just was knitting in the round like, I don't know, socks or hat, and it went really fast. And because of on the sleeves you basically just have like main panel pattern and then side pattern, what you repeating a couple of times, it went really easy and yes, much faster as the body. And I'm happy that I make the sweater and now it's finished. So that's my first finished object, and I should hurry up because we will be here forever. So yes, first finished object. My second finished object was socks. I showed them previous time. I believe I had one finished, and now we finished second one. I don't know how the best way to show it. So this pattern is called Issen by Yuka. It's again, I believe she's from Japan, and the socks have really interesting construction because as you see from how yarn colors is going, it's actually knitted sideways. Here is my seam. I don't know if you can see this. It's here. So basically you knit sock flat and then Kitchener stitch together and mattress stitch here at all. Yes, I don't really figured out how to make mattress stitch good, but I will try. One day I will find out how to do this nicely. Again, really happy about the socks. Previously I was showing you I was making one more socks like that, but I used two different colors. So the sole on one sock was striped color, and then top of the socks was one color, like solid color. Yes, and it had kind of like ribbon here on top. I actually have it, so I can try to show. Yes, that was how the previous sock looked. And this sock I make shorter, this top of like leg, and avoid this ribbing. The pattern have instruction to knit the socks in 3 different ways, and they all have longer leg, but all what I made, I knew how much I should do for my socks, like from the heel down. So I just took, I believe, 10 stitches. I knit 10 stitches, so I knit amount of stitches what's supposed to be here on this cuff, and then 10 stitches, and then go to the heel instruction and the leg. So yeah, as I told before, for this my socks I also modified the pattern and make less stitches here in the foot, because that size was slightly big for me, but maybe it just might gauge how I knit in this differently. Yeah, really happy with the socks. They not match, but I didn't try to match them, but I think you easily can see that it's a pair of socks. Yeah, really like this gradient yarn. I need one long socks out of this yarn. I had 200 grams. I need really long pair. Now I need the shorties, and I still have some yarn back, but now I don't know if that's enough for shorties. I didn't weigh how much they are, but yeah, we will go with this. So yeah, my second finished object is this shorty socks was knitted on a side. Pattern name, designer name will be down below, and I will link my project page on Ravelry. Yes, so that's my second finished object, and I have 2 more. So last time I was showing you I picked up some yarn from my stash what I had and didn't knew what to do because it was too rustic for my taste. Yes, and I wanted to make a basket, and I started this last time and I finished it. My basket looked like that. It's maybe not that presentable how I put this, because I already filled that up with yarn, but I like it. Again, I will try to insert the picture. I'm not I'm more knitter as crocheter, but I know like some stitches, and with some YouTube help tutorials help, I can crochet some. I have a couple of crochet hooks, so that's okay. So that's my first basket, and I'm really happy with that. I washed that. I didn't know how to block it or anything like this, so I basically just make it to stand while it was drying, and now it's filled with some yarn what I will go to later, but I'm really happy how it turned out, and I have more of this yarn left, but less as I use for this basket. So maybe I will make a smaller basket, or maybe I will combine this with another yarn and then make same basket but with 2 colors. I don't know. So I make some handles, and I would like if this basket was had more structure into this, because it can stand, but it's kind of like sides are like flippy. They are like falling on one side or inside. So yeah, if it if it have stuff inside, it's not doing this, but if it's empty, it's doing this. So maybe I was supposed to hold this yarn together with another yarn, or maybe use a smaller hook to knit in this, but I know. As for first basket what I make, I'm really happy with this, and I will try to make more baskets. Yeah, I like how they look. I think it's something really easy to make, and it's something usable from the yarn what was just lying in my stash. So that's that, and this is my third finished object. And I have one more. Yes, for long time viewers, I think you will remember this. I believe last year when this pandemic lockdown just was starting, I started a blanket. I started a blanket for my son, and it was crocheted granny stripe blanket. I don't know how I can show you that. It's really big. My son have single bed, but it's going not just on top, it's folding on the side. Quite like it have big. It's quite big. It's a white blanket, so it's have more than 2 meters long, because the bed is also like 2 meters. So again, maybe I will try to make some pictures and insert them, or you can find them on my Instagram and on Ravelry when I make them, because as I mentioned before, it's raining outside, and maybe I can make it inside. I wished to do pictures of this blanket near sea. There's one beach not far from us, and it have like stones, so I imagine this to be put there on the ground and make picture of them. So that's what I want to do, but we will see how it goes. So again, colors what I used for this blanket was like mostly like grays and blue. There's a couple of greens like this, but mostly I used greens like this, so they are like blend with blue, like aquamarine's color. Yes, and yarn what I use here, it was like wool or an acrylic blendings. I try to use mostly all yarn what I have at home, but there was like after sometimes I understood that I didn't have enough of yarn in this color, so I bought a couple of skins, because with crocheting the yarn go that fast. The crocheting use much more yarn as knitting, or at least it's look like this for me. Yes, and this blanket also had this like neon color what I put in to like add some contrast or something like that. So yeah, it's really big. Cannot show you this all in that glory, but we'll try to insert some pictures. And that what I decide to make in the end is I-cord bind off. Yeah, first I thought that's really easy, should be all over written how to do this, but no, and I was ripping this out a couple of times to make it look nice. I thought the blanket look like have like really nice finishing to this after it have this I-cord. And the problem what I ran into while I was knitting this I-cord, my yarn, I didn't have enough yarn. So in one moment I was like, oh, I don't have yarn anymore, and to make I-cord blanket on I-cord bind off on this big blanket, it's like a lot of time. Yeah, so it's really easy to do I-cord bind off on the edge where you cast on for blanket and when you bind off, because there's like smooth end, if it's making sense. But I hope it is. So in that place I just was picking up every stitch what I can see, and was knitting in this, and I was making applied, I believe it's called applied I-cord, when you casting on first some amount of stitches, and then every time you come into the main part you pick up one stitch and knit it together with the last stitch on your needle, and then again slipping and repeating this again and again and again. So it's easy to do on a part when you cast on for the blanket and when you bind off. I don't know if that's the term what using in crocheting, but I think you understand the line when you start blanket and the line when you finish the blanket. It was much harder on the side line because yeah, again, I'm not the most experienced crocheter, so I cannot explain you right, but I will try. So what I was doing here, it's like these stitches here, if you can see this white color, it's 2 rows in a granny stripe pattern. So I was doing in one row 2 stitches. I was picking up 2 stitches. So I was going to pick up 1 stitches, knit this together in I-cord, slip the stitches again and make this again in this row, and then was repeating like this every time. Sometimes if I felt like it was pulling too much, then sometimes I will make 3 stitches in one place, but basically I was going like that. When I made this first time, I was doing 3 stitches in one because I thought that's how it looked for me, but then blanket was like wavy, the edge was like waving, so I understood that I have too much stitches. I rip back and make like this. So yes, again, for cast on and bind off 1 stitch, pick up 1 stitch in 1 stitch, and to the side pick up 2 stitches in a row. Yeah, and I finished this. That took long time. I have no clue how much yarn it took or how much it weighed. My biggest problem is I kind of will like to wash and block it, because I normally do this with everything, but I have no clue how to do this with so big objects, because yeah, technically I can pull this in my wash machine and it will wash there, but then how are I gonna dry it? Will it dry if I will lay it? Yeah, I don't know what to do. If you have some ideas or you tried it before, can you recommend me how I should block it and wash it? But yeah, like this blanket, my son really like it also, and the day when I finished this, I show him that, and then like, now it's finished, you can have it, and he was really happy. He was cuddling with this, was sitting all evening with this, and yeah, it's make me really happy. Yeah, I think that's why we are knitting for another people, to see how happy they are with things what they getting. Yes, like this, happy that I finished this, and now we will go to work in progress, and I don't have a lot of them. I have just 2 work in progress. Yes, last time I was showing you that I'm working on Opus shawl by Max the knitter. He's having knit along now. Oh, it's not call about the shawl, and if you want to see amazing color combination, because people are knitting that in so different colors, you can look hashtag Opus shawl on Instagram, and it's just amazing, so different colors and so nicely. A couple of people already finished their shawls and they look just great. So my colors is quite similar to the colors what was used for what Max used in his project, and I really like that. So yarn what I used is again Reloved Merino by Smokestack yarn, and the pattern is actually called for Sportway yarn, but I'm using light fingering. So at this point I already make to the amount of repeats what the pattern called for, but because I'm using lighter yarn to get, I count that I need at least 4 or 5 repeats more to get to the length like the pattern calls for. Yes, that's because I'm using smaller needles and smaller, thinner yarn. I didn't had like I do not have like a lot of progress, and still it's a lot because now all rows are increasing. Yes, I have more stitches on each rows all the time, and now I have more than 300 stitches per row, so it's kind of like slowing me down, and the pattern is knitted in mosaic color work, so it's kind of like you knitting each row twice because you work just one color at a time. So basically in this moment I need one row in blue color and then one row in gray color. It's repeated by two rows because you go back and forwards, and then yeah. Last time when I showed you I was here when I have this progress keeper, so I went 1, 2, 3 repeats and just started this one. Just 3 repeats. It looks like not a lot, but it's a lot of knitting. Yeah, and last time I was knitting, I still had yarn to make one more this blue repeat, but then my blue yarn ended. I had just 50-gram yarn of 50-gram ball. They look like that, these balls, and they're 230 meters per 50 gram. So yeah, pattern called right away for 100 grams, so I knew that will be not enough, but I start with that what I had at home. So yesterday I went to shop and bought one more ball of this blue yarn and start to knit in this. This yarn shop, they work just 3 times a week, and it's like Thursday, Friday and Saturday, and last week I didn't had chance to get there, so I get there just yesterday. Yes, you can order each day, but I feel like order one ball I will pay much more for postage as for this yarn, and I didn't feel that it's really sustainable to spend that much for post, as I can just go to that shop and get a ball of yarn. So yeah, I'm continuing working on this. Really nice, really like how it's coming together. Yes, I'm looking forward to wearing this and had this finished. I don't know if my yarn will be enough for all this, but if not, then I will go and just get more of this. As I was explaining you before, I'm trying now to don't buy, reduce my yarn stash and don't buy yarn without purpose for this. So I'm trying more use that what I have and add just that what I'm like missing. If I'm missing ball or two, I will go and buy it. But I think I was doing great, and through last 2 podcasts, so like through last months, I bought just 100 gram of yarn, and I made this yesterday. So I bought one ball of this blue yarn, and I bought one ball of this black yarn. It's like dark gray. I believe they call this anthracite. So it's like dark gray, almost black yarn. And I finished quite like a lot object, so I believe I used much more yarn as I bought. Yes, and my last work in progress, it's one more blanket. So if you saw, I was showing you that I have some colors, some yarn here in this basket, and after I started that blanket for my son, I decided that it will not be fair that just my son will get a blanket, my daughter also should have one. So at that time I asked her to went through my stash and pick up yarn what she liked, and she was drawn to this like pink, beige, black, gray colors. So, and there's a couple of yellows also. So we pick up all this yarn, and we was wondering which blanket she want, and I wanted it be crochet blankets because I feel like they go fast, and at that time I was really drawn to do some crocheting. So it's again granny stripe, but it's not just granny stripe, it's kind of like granny chevron stripe. It's like zigzag pattern, and for now it's really small, but it's beginning. So that's kind of like palette in what we will be working. Hope you can see this nicely. So it's like brown, beige, different shade of pinks, white and black colors, and it's have this zigzag pattern. I use tutorial from YouTube. Maybe I will try to link this if I can, or if no, then I link tutorial in my Ravelry page. And yeah, that will be something what I will pull next week and tell like, oh yes, I finished this. And no, at least I will stop sleeping and do all another stuff, just knit on this. But I really like it, how it's going, and I'm looking forward to knit it. I'm happy that yarn is already picked up for that, so I'm using, and at that my previous blanket I used yarn like for 1 row, for 2 row, or for how long I can do. And on this blanket I decided that I will use yarn for the row, and then we'll use another color. So we will see how that will go. Yeah, that's not the project what will be finished soon, but I'm looking forward to work on this and to show you this when it's finished. Yes, that's what's all for me for this week. I think it was a lot of finished object. One sweater was just a sleeve, so it's not that much work, but I'm happy that I finished this and now have less W.I.P.s. And that blanket also like was needed to pull, and I basically worked on that. I had like 2 sides to work on this I-cord, and I basically worked, I don't know, maybe 4 evenings to finish this. So that was a lot of work, but I'm happy that I made this and now can feel free to work on another things. And yeah, I'm really happy to have it done. So again, that was all for me for today. Thank you for all your comments, likes and subscribes, and I will see you next time. See you. Hi.